Shanti Shanti Shanti. Even though one may have the upbringing in Sanatana Dharma, it is very rare, or it is rare indeed, that one has come across the knowledge of self, that there is Atman, that there is self. In the 6th chapter of Chandogya Upanishad, Shvetaketu, who is a young man, he went to Gurukulam. So the Gurukula Vasa is for 12 years. Usually there are many systems. One of the Vedic references that we get is that, so that the children went to the Gurukulam at about age 8 or 12. So, and then 12 years of Gurukula Vasa, learning the Vedas and all the Vedangas and allied subjects. So 12, you go in to the Gurukulam. Till then homeschooling. So homeschooling was there back in Vedic time only, not something very novel, new concept. So 12 years at home and 12 years of Gurukula Vasa. Now the Shvetaketu is a fresh graduate and he was a brilliant student. He had learnt the entire Vedas. And he comes back to home, to his father, Uddhalaka. And Uddhalaka sees that this pride in Shvetaketu, pride coming of learning, that I have learnt the Vedas, I know the Vedas now, Anuchanamani, so that there is pride. He considers himself to be something great. So father asked him, have you been taught, or do you know that by knowing which everything is as well as known? Did you come across that teaching? That knowing one thing, you can as if know everything else. Do you know of that knowledge? Shvetaketu was so proud, he said, maybe my teacher did not know. That's why he did not teach me. I am the brilliant student. If at all he decided to teach, he would have taught me. Maybe he did not know. But then Shvetaketu understands his gap in understanding, the folly, and asks his father for the Brahma Vidya. And Shvetaketu's father, Uddhalaka, gives him certain examples and teaches the Brahma Vidya and how it is to be appreciated. By knowing the gold, it is like knowing all the ornaments made up of gold. Once you know the source, whatever it is derived out of it is all known. So once you know iron, it's like knowing every iron object made up of iron. And Upanishad quotes something like nail cutter. My God, thousands of years back we had nail cutter even. So even though, and then finally Tattvamasi Mahavakya is given Bodhana to Shvetaketu, and Shvetaketu gains this knowledge. Now, even though Shvetaketu grew up around the Gurukulam of his father, Uddhalaka himself is a great rishi, and he went to a Veda Patashala, he learnt Vedas for 12 years, but yet he never came across Brahman, he never came across Atma, he never came across Atmajnanam. Even though in the Patashala The kids there learn Vedas from the first Akshara till the end of that particular Veda that they are studying. It is Rig Veda, entire Rig Veda. Along with the Upanishad, they learn to chant. But then, that's why Upanishads are called as Rahasyam, secret. Why? Because it may be just right in front of you, but you do not have any understanding of what it is. That's why Rahasyam. Puja Swamiji used to say it's like the biggest open secret. It is there, it is given, it is in front of you. Today books are there. Or today you can ask, Alexa, chant Rig Veda, it will start. Hey Siri, chant Rig Veda, it will chant. So, we are in that way now, because all cloud based. It pulls up like rishis used to pull knowledge from the clouds. So these Siri and Alexa are pulling things from the cloud and giving to all of us. But even though you might have born and brought up and exposed to even Vedic knowledge, but it is rare indeed somebody comes across self-knowledge. Even though it is the most obvious, after gaining this knowledge, it could be experience of every jnani. My God, it's such an obvious thing. It's such an obvious thing. How did I miss? How did I miss all these years? Such a obvious knowledge that I require to know about myself. And here I am, I have not understood myself properly, and then I seem to have understanding about various things in the world, and yet about myself I do not have much insight at all. What is my true nature? What is the nature of the reality? The Upanishad is now introducing the nature of reality. Because Atma is not another cheese vastu, another thing in the universe. The mind is so extroverted, the mind is so raw and rough that it can only conceive objects. It doesn't have appreciation for anything other than objects. And especially a modern mind, at least if you go 50 years or if you go 25 years back or something, maybe people had appreciation for poetic abstracts. People had appreciation for abstracts in terms of poetry, in terms of art, in terms of philosophy, in terms of music. All of it, people had appreciation for abstract. What is the elaboration of an entire raga in Carnatic music? Sarigapada sa, not an abstract, an arrangement. But a musician pulls it, makes all permutation and combination possible, and does the vistara of raga in such a way that that musician takes you to a zone of abstract. And musicians and people, rasikas who are used to classical music, have a great appreciation for this elaboration of the raga, where they take you to a zone of abstract. Not objects, not concretized objects. But today you you see the film music or any music that you come across, just some beat and some dhada bada, it's like you push and pull all the objects in the room, then you have a track. So it's like that. Humanity seems to have lost appreciation forget philosophical abstracts, even in terms of music, anything. It has lost the taste in anything other than objects. Just one thing after another. The mind is only used to grasping things. Now, such a mind can never attempt to know the self. Can never attempt to know the self. Because self is not an object. It is not another thing. If at all self were to be another thing, like in all other objects, the pursuit of self-knowledge would have been the easiest. Why? Because self is an object. So you get to know the features of that object. What are the features of that object? Then you know that object, that's all. You did not know what is a banyan tree, and then there is a description of banyan tree, that tree which has the circumference of the trunk as this much, whose leaves are of this particular shape, whose fruits are of this kind, whose branches are like this, and you go search for that description in the forest or in the land, you come across the banyan tree. Very easily you can identify. But the self, the essence of one's being, one's own true nature, is nirguna. It is not an object. So how do I appreciate? I am only used to working with the pramanas available to me. Pratyaksha pramana. Pramana means a means of measurement or means of knowledge, means of knowing. So I am blessed with sense organs. There is eyesight, there is hearing, all of it constitute pratyaksha pramana. So a person with using all this pratyaksha pramana searches for the self. So it's like Hiranyakashipu searching for Bhagavan Vishnu. He doesn't have any understanding, any conception of Bhagavan. Such a person is searching. So it is like searching for Atman using the Pratyaksha Pramana. It is not an object. And you try and use all your faculties. Alas, you don't find the self. You don't find the self. So the modern person, or a materialist, even Charuvaka in the yesteryears, or even today a modern person is purely operating from Pratyaksha Pramana. So that person will say, what self? It is not there. What are you creating stories and stories about something which I cannot see, which I cannot touch, which I cannot feel, which I cannot taste? Because the person is so rudimentary, the person doesn't have appreciation for anything other than what is available through Pratyaksha Pramana. So that such a person negates Atma. He says, Atma nasti. Asti iti eke, nasti iti eke. So the person says, no, it is not there. So can I use Anumana, inference, that I use based on Pratyaksha Pramana only? I infer something. Suppose I see smoke somewhere and I infer that there must be fire, because of which the smoke is. So can I use this kind of a logic? Can I use Anumana Pramana to infer the self? No. Again, because self itself is not an object. Even though you use the inference or the two-step inference, Arthapatti, whatever, many step inferences, today science uses multi-step inference to arrive at a particular conclusion. So even though you may use multi-step inference, you are not going to have any conception about self at all. So modern person concludes that there is no self, there is no self at all. But the tradition walks in, the rishis come in and tell us, hey Appa, it's not that you know everything in life only through Pratyakshadi Pramanas. Even though most of your transactions are Pratyaksha Pramana based, you do gain knowledge by Apta Vakya, by Shabda. Somebody says something to you that there is something, and then you are able to appreciate it, you are able to understand it. Then finally you may go and verify it using the Pratyaksha Pramanas. But then there is this avenue to gain some knowledge through words. Words have the capacity to give you knowledge, to make you understand. Words have the capacity to make you understand. So now, in order to inquire into the nature of reality, we make use of the words of the rishis, Here is the diversion, or this the path of the Shastra and path of the material sciences or all other sciences, where rishis were very, very, very keen observers of the internal world. The scientists are the very keen observers of the external world. The keen observation remains to be the same, similar, in the path of science, in the path of spirituality. This keen observation remains to be the same. Wherever there is very, very keen observation, deep observation, you are likely to arrive at fundamentals of life, fundamentals of nature, fundamentals of materials. That is what science is involved. That's why Pujya Swamiji used to call these modern great scientists of modern eras as rishis itself. Albert Einstein is a rishi. Newton is a rishi. Because he observed the nature very keenly, external world very keenly, and arrived at laws of motion. For every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Every body continues to be in a state of rest or in motion until and unless an external force is applied. Universal phenomenon of gravity he observed and found out. What instruments was there in Newton's era? I mean, today science has produced so much instruments. What instrument? Just a pen and book and an apple which fell down. If probably apple fell down on our heads, if we were sitting in Gurukulam, we would have eaten it off. Newton did not eat it. He examined, what is this apple is falling down? How can it fall? Similarly, rishis keenly observed the internal world. Very keenly they observed the internal world and arrived at fundamentals of life. Rishis observed the entire phenomenon taking place in the body. And there is energy in the body. It is evident. And there must be something fundamental energy which is energizing the entire body. Rishis observed and arrived at prana, the fundamental shakti, the fundamental energy which is powering the entire body. What is it? Prana. Rishis practiced the control of this prana. They gained mastery over this prana. Pranayama, prana ayama. What is prana ayama? Is directing the prana. Thus, you can have the mastery over, once you have the mastery over the prana, it is like having the mastery over the entire body, mind. Because that is the fundamental energy which is governing the entire body. So if you have to control the entire electrical gadgets, then you have to have a control over the electricity. So similarly, there is a Shakti in the body. If you want to control the bodily functions, you control the body, control the prana. That's how rishis arrived at fundamentals. Rishis did not stop there. Rishis inquired further and further, and discovered and recognized not that it is not there, not that the Atma is not there. It is ever present. And what you are essentially doing through the Vedanta Shastra is recognizing it. That is the recognizing. It is ever present as the basis of all cognitions. And that Atman we miss. We often miss the most obvious. We miss the most obvious. So Pujya Swamiji in 80s or 90s went to Bombay, and one of his devotees had purchased a flat, and that devotee wanted, the flat system came initially in the Bombay, that's That's where the residential boom was, and today we have it everywhere. So the devotee took Puja Swamiji and he wanted him to come to his apartment and bless and see the apartment and all of that. So Puja Swamiji went there. So the devotee said, it's a new flat, I have paid 20 lakhs for this flat, and then this is mine, it's very nice, it is 3 bedroom, this, that, etc. So then Puja Swamiji asked him, so is this wall yours, the right hand side wall? No Swamiji, that is the left hand side wall of the neighbor house. Is this right hand side wall yours? No Swamiji, that is the wall of the neighbor house. Is this ceiling yours? No Swamiji, that is the flooring of the second floor house. Is this flooring yours? No Swamiji, flooring is not mine, that is the ceiling of the first floor house. So what did you pay 20 lakhs for? For this house, Swamiji. For what? The wall is not yours, nothing is yours. What did you pay 20 lakhs for? It's for the space. It's for the space you paid 20 lakhs for. Array, space is abundant everywhere. No, through this small humorous story, what is being pointed out is that it is that for the space that you have paid 20 lakhs or whatever is crores in today's world. But we miss the obvious. We are thinking that we have paid for apartment or whatever. But essentially, you have paid for the space. What is most obvious, we miss. Rishis were internal scientists. Scientists of the inner world. So they keenly observed life, keenly observed outer life also, outside world also, and then came to recognize the basis of everything. Came to recognize the basis of everything. And that basis of everything is not an object. It is not available for pratyaksha. It is not available for anumana pramana. So in this, we purely have the words of the rishis which reveal our own true nature which is ever present. By taking away all that does not belong to me, by pointing out the unreal as unreal, the rishis point out to the real. So rishis point out to the real. So rishis take us to the step-by-step process. They point out the body. And now then you may have the understanding, oh, rishis are pointing out at the body. So the body must be the reality. No. Rishis take us further. Rishis take us further. No, look at now the basis of the body, prana. Oh, is prana the reality? No. Enquire further. There is manas, there is mind. Oh, is mind the reality? So many schools, many teachers, many acharyas thought about it and they fixed body as the reality, charuvakas. Many others inquired, they fixed prana as the reality. That's why they are all the time only involved in pranayama. Pranayama is no doubt good, but they are only stuck at the pranayama level. Some people, further psychologists and even certain schools of Buddhists, they inquired and they fixed mind as the ultimate reality. And some others, the Buddhijivis, they inquired and fixed intellect as the basis for everything. No, rishis inquired further and further and recognized the self-evident self, which is there, which is ever present, and you are aware of its presence, and that self is only the reality. And rishis of AMRITABINDHU Upanishad are giving us some guidelines to know how to appreciate, how to understand the Atma Chaitanya which is ever present. Naiva chintyam na cha chintyam, na chintyam chintyameva cha. Naiva chintyam na cha chintyam, न चिन्त्यं चिन्त्यमेव च पक्षपात विनिर्मुक्तं ब्रह्म संपद्यते तदा पक्षपात विनिर्मुक्तं ब्रह्म संपद्यते तदा. Now, kim tat atma? Then what is that atma? If you ask the rishi, if you ask the acharya, the rishi is replying, naiva chintyam. Do not understand that Brahman as an object. Naiva chintyam. It is not conceivable. It is not conceivable through the regular pramanas, eyes, ears, nose, inference and all of it. It is not an object for you to conceive it as an object. Naiva chintyam. So if you cannot conceive it, it is not there. Suppose you were to say that nacha achintyam cha. It is not that it is inconceivable. It is, but not an object. The rishis of the Vedas always speak this language. For a modern person, it is the most confusing language, because they seem to be telling this and they also seem to be telling that. Seemingly contradictory, but not contradictory. So, when we are taking only words at the face value, only at vachyartha, the meaning of the words, just the meaning of the words, as literally if you take, then you lose the entire essence of Veda Shastra. Because all the teachings of the Veda Maharshis are in Lakshyartha, implied meaning, not the direct meaning of the words. All the entire teachings are in the implied meaning, Lakshyartha, not the Vachyartha. So one person was traveling, first time, it was his first flight to Bombay. He was very excited. So the pilot announced, in another 30 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Indigo announcement, because I travel all the time there. So pilot said, now we are 30 minutes from Bombay, the flight is going to descend now. So the fellow is very excited now. So he started telling Bombay, 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 Bombay. So the air hostess came and she said, be silent. And he said, Ombe, 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 Ombe. Because be silent. He silenced the bee and said, Ombe, Ombe, Ombe. So you cannot take literally. Even in day-to-day life, we cannot take words literally. And what to talk about Shastra? Rishis only speak in the language of symbolism, language of Lakshyartha. So, Naiva Chintyam, so it is not something conceivable. So then let us say Om Shanti 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 and go for tea. Because it is not conceivable. Swami, what do I do with you? Na cha achintyam cha. Nor that it is inconceivable. Na chintyam. It can never be conceived. It can never be conceived. Now Rishi is telling na chintyam. See, 3 times, 4 words, 4 combination. First one is naiva chintyam. Na achintyam. Naiva chintyam. It is not an object. It cannot be conceived. Second one, na achintyam. Not that it is not conceivable. Na chintyam. Even though it is non-conceivable, it is inconceivable. Even though it is inconceivable, Rishi is telling, chintyameva cha. It is to be inquired into. Even though you cannot perceive it, even though you cannot cognize it as an object, you have to inquire into it. Chintyameva cha. It is worth inquiring into. It is worth inquiring into. So only the person who treads on this subtle path of self-inquiry gains Brahman. Because you see, mind is only used to objects. Now subtle inquiry has started, because self is not an object. It is the very subject, I. I am ever present. And I don't know what is this I. All the time I am telling I am. And that I am is always with a suffix. It is always qualified. There is no pure I am. All the time it is, you only know to deal with qualified I am. I am Dukhi, I am Sukhi, I am a man, I am a woman, I am a sannyasi, I am a brahmachari, I am a mathadipati, I am a bhikshadipati, I am a driver, I am a teacher, I am whatsoever. Always big or low. Always you know the qualified self. There is always a suffix involved with I am. Visheshana. Always there is an adjective to you. That I, we don't know what is this pure I. But that I amness is ever present. But because of the ajnana, we immediately associate it with the body. Thus you have the body identified self, gives rise to a personality, gives rise to a person. Then there is identification with the mind. Again, another layer of personality, intellect, so on. So very solid personality is built, and modern system is full of solidifying this ego, solidifying this personality. The entire effort in this modern world is to make sure that you have a very, very defined, solid personality with solid likes and solid dislikes, solid identifications, solid qualifications. That is what is encouraged. And especially the layers and layers get added up to inquire into I amness or I. That many layers you have to pierce through. That means like onion layers. You have to keep on separating one after the other. Suppose the layers were to be too big, like the US onion, my God. All these hybrid vegetables you see, you get bhayam. My God, what is this? Are we in some Rakshasa Yuga or something? The ginger is this big, no flavor. Recently, somebody got these sapotas. My God, I thought it is beetroot or something. They were that big, but they are sapotas. So, why did I come to sapota beetroot? Onion layers. So that many layers, suppose we have solidified with this, we have solidified the personality like this. That many layers you have to pierce through in order to recognize the self. So now Rishi is giving another guidance, another guidelines. Pakshapata vinirmuktam brahma sampadyate tada. That person alone gains Brahman. That Brahman is Brahma sampadyate tada. That Brahman is gained only when you free yourself from all conceptions of Brahman, all concepts of Atma, all concepts of reality. Really speaking, Vedanta is unlearning. Vedanta is unlearning. There is no new learning as such. It is only unlearning all the mistakes, unlearning all the wrong identifications that we have taken. That's why Shastra uses the prakriya of negation. Everything it negates. Wherever you want to stand, that ground the Shastra negates. You are still standing on unreal. मनोबुद्ध्यहंकार चित्तानि नाहं न च श्रोत्र जिह्वे न च घ्राण नेत्रे न च व्योम भूमिर्न तेजो न वायुः चिदानंद रूपः शिवोहम शिवोहम. Swamiji, Shastra is teaching us Shivoham Shivoham. No, you missed the first 3 lines. It's only negating all the grounds on which you are trying to stand. All the grounds you are trying to stand. Manaha, you are not that. Come out of that false identification. Buddhi, because I take refuge in Buddhi. There's a lot of security there in learning, in taking refuge of the Buddhi. But you go to any scholar, he seems to be deriving a lot of security from his Vidvat, but he is also equally insecure. Because he is always afraid that there may be another greater scholar who will defeat me in the Vakyartha Sadas, in the argument. So, he is also with Bhayam. So, Shastra is essentially negating all that does not belong to me. Right? Starting from the body, mind, all the conception. This is where Atma means what? Brahma means what? Reality, ultimate reality. So we are taking body to be the ultimate reality. Shastra is telling, nah, it's not the real. Mind to be the ultimate reality. The people who are considering body to be the ultimate reality, they are all the time involved only with reference to the pleasures of the body. Only in preservation of the body, only in embellishing the body with makeup or ornaments or whatsoever. They are all the time only involved at the body level. Their thinking, their thoughts, their words, their actions are only body oriented. There is nothing more in that person. So it's like the person who is all the time only involved with the food and the taste of the food. Pujya Swami used to say, if eating was the only purpose of humanity, then you don't need any other organs. You should have been like a ball with a mouth, a stomach with a mouth. So you go on rolling around and keep eating. Swamiji used to say, you should imagine that, you should picturize it, how awkward it will be. So, that's not the purpose of life. So the rishis inquired and inquired and inquired and said, Pakshapata vinirmuktam, free yourself from all conceptions. Because everybody has some concept of ultimate reality. Because of the conditionings of their religion or because of the conditionings of the world that have been there living with. So you go ask a youngster, he'll say, energy is the ultimate reality. What energy? I mean, that more than that the person cannot say anything. It's the energy, you know, vibrations, the energy and the vibrations. Go on and on and on. The 10 minutes conversation, energy and vibration, energy and vibration. So you ask him to define it, no. I don't know anything about that energy and vibration. So, Pakshapata vinirmuktam Brahma sampadyate tada. Upanishad breaks every illusion of ours. Every illusion. How in the other class, through 2 examples of Naishkarmya Siddhi of Sureshwara, I showed how the body is a myth. How the body identification itself is a mythical phenomenon. Body itself is a phenomenon. Like rainbow is a phenomenon, body is also a phenomenon. It is there for some time and disappears. But we hold on to that as a ultimate reality. So the Upanishad breaks that conception. Now modern science also helps us in demystifying this fact that body, what you take yourself as the body, as you, is an idea, is just an idea in the mind. It's just an idea in the mind. One experimentation I came across. You see, they ask you to place both your hands like this and they put a dummy hand next to you. Okay, dummy hand is put. And the scientist is now brushing your hand using a brush. And then now slowly, without your notice, the scientist has moved to brush the dummy hand. And now suddenly a knife is pierced on the dummy hand. And you immediately take out your real hand and feel that you have been pierced. So they have done these experiments. How did this body identification move into that which is not you at all? I mean, not the body at all. So this body identification also is like that. You have, the skin is a largest sense organ, so it covers the entire body. So it gives you a sense that this whole periphery of the body, and you think yourself to be only this, no extension. But then through this experimentations, it is known that the sense of I can also be extended even to a artificial limb, artificial thing. So here and there we use these insights only to appreciate all that we are holding on is just ideation. Pakshapata vinirmuktam brahma sampadyate tatha. So furthermore, Upanishad takes us further. Now it has just given a glimpse into the inquiry by showing us that Brahman is not a concept, Brahman is not an object, Atma is not an object that you can conceive using the 5 sense organs. Now the Upanishad gives us a meditation. See, this is the sanchara of the Upanishad sometimes. Suddenly in between it introduces a meditation, because always the focus is on Anthakarana Shuddhi. Without pure Anthakarana, you will not be able to appreciate this knowledge coming from the Shabda Pramana. So Upanishad is now introducing a meditation. What is that meditation? Let us look at it. Swarena sandhayet yogam. Swarena sandhayet yogam. Aswaram bhavayet param. Aswaram bhavayet param. Asvarena anubhavena. Na bhavo bhava ishyate. Na bhav. What is, just a minute, I'll look into the text which is given to you. Okay, sorry. Asvarena anubhavena. Bhavo na bhava ishyate. Asvarena anubhavena. Bhavo na bhava ishyate. The Upanishad is introducing Omkara meditation. Omkara is the greatest symbol available for us to designate the truth. Truth is to be now represented through a symbol for the sake of understanding. The truth which does not have a name, that which does not have a sound, which does not have a form, but for the sake of understanding, for the purpose of teaching, rishis have to use some relatives. Some relative terms the rishis have to use in order to designate or indicate the absolute. That's where Omkara walks in. Arundhati Chandra Nyayena. So there is this practice. Now the Guru is seeing the Chandra very easily, but it is not the Paurnima Chandra. Many days have passed. The Chandra is just as like a streak, and the Guru is able to see it, and he wants the Shishya to see it. The Shishya is unable to see the moon. So what the Guru does? Hey Shishya, are you able to look at this tree? Yes. Are you able to look at the branch? Yes, I am able to look at the branch of the tree. There is a star above it. Yes, are you able to see that star? Yes. another star next to it. Are you able to see that? Yes. In between those two stars, there is this streak of moon. Are you able to see that? Yes, I will able to see that. Now Shishya, if he starts arguing that, what I asked you to show is Chandra, but you are showing me the tree. I don't want to see the tree, I want to see Chandra. No, Guru is not showing the Chandra for the sake of tree, for the sake of the tree. In order to point out the Chandra, he is showing this particular tree. And the next star and the next branch also. The Tatparyam, the purport is to not show the star. The purport is to indicate the Chandra. But you take help of some relatives in order to point out at what is to be recognized or what is to be seen. So in the marriages also, no? See, marriage such a dope. From day one they fool you. You have had the ceremony and all, they take you out of the Kalyana Mandapam and says, yes, look at that, there is Arundhati Nakshatram. Where in the broad daylight you are being fooled. So the day one only, the couple is fooled by showing the Arundhati Nakshatram in the broad daylight. The Tatparyam is not to show the nakshatras, the Tatparyam is to show the reality. So similarly, you may ask, now if you ask a question, what I want to know is Atman, what I want to know is Brahman, why are you teaching me Omkara? No. Om is the symbol for Brahman. Om is the symbol for Atma. Om is the sound symbol. There are two types of symbols, pictorial symbols and sound symbols. So Om is the sound symbol, and that sound symbol is further indicated by the pictorial Omkara. That is the pictorial symbol of Om. So now Upanishad is telling Swarena Sandhayet Yogam. This union, Yogam, what is the union? Union of Jivatma with the Paramatma. Union of the mind with the self. The union meaning what? You recognize the self. That is the union, Jivatma and Paramatma. So, Swarena Sandhayet Yogam, by using the sound symbol Omkara, this Yogam, or you can take yoga as moksha also. This moksha can be attained. This Atma Jnanam can be attained. Yoga also has the meaning of Jnanam. So this Jnanam can be attained. Then the instruction given is what? First, you meditate upon the sound, Swarena. Swarena Sandhayet. You meditate upon the sound symbol Omkara. Meditate upon Om. That's what we are doing in every class when we are chanting the Om. That is the Omkara Upasana. Upasana means what? Placing the mind near something. That something is what? Is the Omkara. Swarena. Akara, Ukara, Makara. So this is the Omkara Upasana, is very famous in the Vedas. Omiti Brahma, Omiti Idagum Sarvam. The Upanishad is praising about Omkara. Om is the Brahman. Om is everything else. And everything is because of this Omkara itself. This symbol, the Brahman, symbol for Brahman. First, may you meditate upon the Omkara. Rishis simply did not fix a sound. You see, human vocal apparatus is in such a way that you open the mouth and make a sound is there cannot be any other sound. And you constrict the lips and try making a sound oo. And the oo, the constriction of the lips indicates all the other permutation and combinations that you can make in your vocal apparatus. And you close the mouth and try and make a sound a plus u, o according to the Sandhi rules of Sanskrit, and o plus makara, Om. So that's why rishis arrived at Omkara. Omkaro vai sarva vak. Entire vak prapancha, all the sounds possible is represented by Omkara. And that Omkara has 4 parts. Akara, first part. Ukara, the second part. Makara, the third part. And the silence that follows the Om. The silence which was there before the beginning of the Om, chanting of the Om, and that silence that follows the Omkara is the Turiya, the 4th part. From the silence, the sounds are coming forth, and all the sounds are merging back into the same silence. That is the Omkara. That is the Omkara Upasana. And now Rishi is giving us a guideline for this meditation. What is that? Swarena sandhayet. You start with chanting of Omkara, meditating upon the sound Omkara. How do you do it? Just as we are doing in the beginning of the class. Place your attention on the sound Om. Om. Then Aswaram bhavayet param. Then do not stop your meditation just on focusing on the sound Omkara. Aswaram bhavayet param. Now focus on Aswara. Swara means the sound Om. Aswara means the silence. That which is not the sound. What is not the sound? Silence. Aswaram bhavayet. Now you be focused on the silence. Focus on the silence. Silence is the most powerful thing. Such a tremendous power is there in the silence. But we fail to recognize and appreciate silence itself because our minds are so noisy. We are only looking for noise. We cannot have a conception of silence at all. That's why a modern person is always with the ear pod. While running, walking, driving, sitting, talking to somebody also. Some background music must be going on, as though it is some Bollywood movie. So, that silence has tremendous power. We fail to focus on that. We fail to focus on that. An untrained mind is very uncomfortable in silence. An untrained mind. You see, you observe yourself, you introspect yourself. Suppose there is silence. How you are, how do you operate, how do you act? Just observe yourself. It will give you a lot of insight into your own mind. Where you stand with reference to sound and silence. Because silence is the one which is transcending the sound. Which is transcending the sound. Aswaram bhavayet param. Now, aswarena anubhavena. Upanishad is telling, by meditating upon that which is beyond sound. Thus, beyond sound and also beyond silence. You now, first you meditated upon the sound, and then you meditated upon what is the object of meditation? Silence. Your focus is on the silence. Now, having done both, transcend both swara and aswara. Both sound and silence. What is doing it? Is it a meditation? Is it an action? No. Purely a nididhyasana, purely a recognition. You are, and you are the witness of both sound and silence. You are aware of sound, you are aware of silence also. You must be something beyond, you must be something that I must be something beyond both sound and silence. That which transcends both sound and silence. That is you. So, having done this, you truly recognize what is real and what is changing, what is unreal. That is what is being indicated by the Upanishad. The mind becomes so sukshma by the Omkara Upasana. You get to know what is real, what is unreal through the Omkara Upasana. That much of Viveka Bhava also comes forward because of silencing the mind through the Omkara Upasana. That is what the Upanishad is mentioning. We will do this Omkara Upasana tomorrow morning in the meditation class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnabhavdhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Can stop the recordings.